Well, hello everyone, this is the Dementor Storyteller here, come again. I'm sorry for the small delay of my own homemade stories. The 3 creepypastas hopefully you enjoyed, but we must come back to my story. Sorry for the inconvenience. But as I was. The chapter 2.5, chapter 2 to 2.5, Earth against Two Godlike Kings, Part 1, North America's End, Part 1 of 4. As this is the Figmenters Crusade, signing in. As I begin to open my eyes, I hear the somber cries and screams of pandemonium. With an E extra sound, roars and moans of something not in pain but in rage and enthusiasm. I move my arm in the darkness would come up empty, but then came a flicker of the fluorescent light of an elementary school. I was lying on the ground, filled with debris and destruction. I was welcomed by a sound of concern. "My king, are you hurt?" I look around to find my arm is dislocated by the elbow, with tidbits of protruding bone that seems to be mending itself, where the wires are self-healing. My body with crunching pain, my attention was then interjected to Amazonia. I lift my arm with pain as the mirage-like creature shambles near my position. The female demon, which says in a soft tone, "Wow, how the times changed. The country, the world is going to change, isn't it, master?" I respond by saying, "Yes, it is." "Ah, shit. Do you mind giving me a hand? My arm feels as though spikes have gouged through the inside and are now halfway protruding out." She again nodded. With a nod and without warning bashed my elbow with a stomp of her healed foot, and said with a tilt of the head, "Did that help?" I interrupt. "Son of a bitch, that hurt. God, thanks for the insult to injury, Amazonia. Just tell me what's going on in this. Christ screams." She sighs and explains, "The war has begun. Our forces are preparing a base of operation. The generals are destroying the feeble souls that reside in this fictitious world. Life has become anew, the struggle from anew, hence the new year has now been 111. A new age has arrived. It is up to us to what we make the world to be. But we do have a threat to the other figments and figments of dead figmenters that want their own piece of the cake that is this world, as deemed unfit to the former tenants. So the screams are the soon dead humans. That will be undoubtedly an interesting addition to our undead hordes. Maybe it would make an upgrade of their former selves. What do you demand, my king?" I paused, looking around where I was. What I saw was nothing but degraded forms of what was a college, not elementary school. Where I was, I saw nothing. I thought I saw was nothing. What I saw was nothing but degraded forms of what a college before is now ruin of an Ivy League of its former glory, the weeds reaching to the ground of the dining hall. I'm guessing the students were the food drive of my stepping stone to my rise of power. Classes remained with only toothpicks of desks. For desks, I'm guessing a wolf has sharpened his teeth before dining on a feast scene. The food wasn't worth being even walking necronites.
What smelled mystery meat that sell in Indian restaurant that God knows where they reside now. Death is a decider of that, and the ender of the Kingsley men and women, or the scruffs of the men and women, who fight to the death to claim their title of greatest leader and warrior in one. But I protest and walk to the slashed open doors as though his Hisune slashed the gates with no problem. As I exit, I was dumbfounded as he shit for planes, chained and yet not wounded, at least while some who were spared were as near to a thread of life that any man could be, still alive wise. Bleeding uncontrollably with a gash of bones and glass, either they jumped, were thrown off from the top, or were beaten to a pulp in the ground floor to a bloody mess, with only drastically grasping their wounds to tell they're alive. I meet shit for brains in the eyes and have the nerve to say, "What happened, shit, SFB?" while only showing a blank expression towards my friend. "Look around you, mate. Why, I always seemed you were dead." "Well, bloody hell, look around you, man. Well, it seemed you were dead. An ambulance was about to arrive, but all this shit began. All I can say was a woman on TV saying of how she's going to fight, kill, and annihilate all nuisance life here. But an hour before I saw you, a man with a blade attached to his arm said for me to wait here. What other choice did I have? For the matter, could you please tell me what happened to you? You had no pulse, you weren't alive. You know what I mean? But I'm glad to see you, but tell me what the bloody hell is going on, bro." I look around, the destruction of malevolent power residing in so long beneath the earth's core, fire billowing like a stove under the city, agonizing pain severing the arteries of what I could see, pools among pools of murky misery of people surrendering to death and leaving behind everything. But is that really wrong to do, especially in this circumstance? Survival. But those who choose not to back down without a fight are the real heroes that can fight for survival and not bow down to their maker. I'm not letting that happen to me. I look to the hostage of a friend and I say in a dismal tone, "Well, it's how you see it, it is actually how it may be around the whole world. But I ask you, would you stand with me to a brighter future, the one where the world, everyone's treated gratefully and equally? Can I call it communalist? Pretty much communism and nationalism together. Do you get it? But I want to ask you to be part of the human side of my kingdom." He laughs strangely as the stench of the near dead victims from my army let out their hands for help when my attention was only faced to shit for brains. He stops laughing, realizing I mean no jokes. "Is this a joke? I was worried about your damn life, man. And now you just walk out like nothing happened? Just one question, figuring that all this crud makes no sense in the first place. I wonder what happened when you were supposed to be dead." I huffed. With a smirk of enjoyment, I said, "You know the guy with the blade in his arm, or attached to his arm, what you mentioned it as? He's with me along with 4, some even more crazy looking than him. So should I tell you their names? Oh well, let's just tell you either way. Well, the one you met is called Hisune. There's one told me to call Scar
If you seen any bums, he's a specialist of them. The third is called Rafira. He's more wolf than man, and more claws than human, and more beast than anything. The fourth is called Quinazo, and the fifth is called Stone. He could be around here, just a statue of a man, and the sixth member is called Adoka, with the seventh, which will be considered my wife soon. She considers herself Amazonia. You may call me the author, but Sergio is another soul residing in me, that I want to be placed in another soul, another body, but he's screaming, not you. He wants you to be alive and a man of his own charge. So I ask you, do you accept this offer?
Shit for brains, as Sergio called him, looked in disbelief as I reached my hand out, get him to his feet.
Okay, alright, I accept your terms, but just tell me that is Sergio okay?
I raised my head, then down, up, then down, closing my eyes to speak to Sergio.
Are you feeling alright? Shit for brains wanted to know.
Yes, I am. And thank you also for stating shit for brains is okay.
Yes, I am. Thank you for also saying shit for brains is okay as well.
He sighs and walks back to the void, awaiting resurrection. With that, my head was raised by Amazonia. We met, and she knew it was the author. She smiled, conversing by saying,
It's been a while, Master. But what of him? Should we spare him? It's up to you more than it is to Sergio.
I consider the deed of killing him would make me a bastard of the soul within me, and if I let him live, he's more prone to a painful death than I would show. So I tucked in my pride and in honor, and I said, let him live.
He could be of use to us, at least a minor phase of life. Could so allow the poor man to live at least till another kills him. That's not on our side, at least.
Shit for brains, SFB raised a sigh, released a sigh of relief, and stood to his feet, bowing to us both, and said with a smile,
I'm grateful for you at least giving me a chance to live a life. I'll do my best. Please wait here for a moment, so I may prepare for our departure.
I interrupt.
Go then. But we're leaving in 3 minutes. Or if you want to leave now, I'm sure we could find you something.
I said angrily.
We don't have time to wait for your petty woes. I would like to see the news for some info of what's happened around the world.
We leave then, okay. Shit for brains
said, with stress in his tone.
I only hope there is a TV that works. They showed up they banned all electronics within 5 days, shutting down most of the Wi-Fi and all cell receptions right when the chick showed up on the web. But I'm sure someone, or better yet, something will explain what's going on. What I've heard, at least before the streets were drenched in red water, what I've heard was that all Europe was taken by a being no one could imagine as a human with wings, but not quite human, angel. They say, was it an angel?
He asked, with a fear and hope clashing in his eyes.
Well, that's gonna be to be continued. This has been Chapter 2.5. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be back soon. Leave a like, leave a subscription, leave a comment, leave a share it to your friends. Thank you. Goodbye.